And I knew this is a part of my wound, this absolute terror, visceral, animal. I've come to the forest with a lot of rage today, and this is a new thing for me. If someone had said to me a couple of months ago, "Are you an angry person?" I would have been like, no. But like, even as I hear myself say that, I can hear that slight tinge of denial in that word. And since recently discovering that I have a womb and a birth trauma, more on that perhaps later, certainly more on it in another video, I've uncovered this volcanic freaking rage within me. And a lot of that is directed towards my mother. And I'm noticing that often when I'm in her presence, I feel it. And so I wanted to come to the forest today to hold a shamanic fire, because shamanic fire is a really strong practice, and this feels like really strong rage. So I'm like, what practice do I have in my toolkit that I could meet this quite terrifying emotion with? So I've come to the forest. I've been doing some intention setting before I set out. My intention is to understand a little bit more about what's behind this rage, and also to release it. I feel like I'm not just releasing it for me, I feel like I'm releasing it for my mother, possibly for many generations that have come before. I'm aware of some of the situations that I'm now really feeling this rage in. So I want some healing from the forest today, and I want some insights from the fire, and I certainly want to take the edge off this very fiery emotion that has now shown itself in me. So let's do it, right? Since this experience of knowing that I'm suffering from this trauma, this womb trauma, this birth trauma, I've become even more aware of, and when I say even more aware, I realise it's something I wanted even before I realised I had this trauma. I was just sort of not really paying attention to that want. But now it's so strong, this desire to lie in someone's arms, lie in their lap, and have them breathe, like sense them breathing and sense them so exquisitely present with me. And just coming up into the arms of this tree, I could feel that. I could feel this total contrast of how my experience used to be with my mother, in that, yes, I would be in her arms, but there would perhaps be a sense of, she's doing this because I asked her to, so it doesn't feel real, like it wasn't offered. It was something I asked for, so she was like, okay. Or I'm there in her arms, but I have a sense of her being like, okay, you know, time's up, got to get on. Or not even saying that, but feeling this inner impatience within her because there's stuff to do. She hasn't got time to just sit and lie with this child in her arms. Or she comes to me and wants to hug me, but I don't want the hug at that time. But this was like a totally reciprocal experience. I felt the tree's absolute presence. And when I looked up at the trunk and the boughs of the tree, I was so overwhelmed by the tree's beauty. And it just occurred to me, like, beauty is not this physical thing, but the tree's beauty is so apparent to me because it has this unbelievable female energetic presence that is all giving, and yet it's totally grounded. Like, it's not giving because it needs or because it's trying to please. Like, that can be our experience of someone giving to us. Like, let me give you this, and with a kind of fraught energy. It's just fucking giving because it is, and it gives, and it can. And because it's present, it just keeps, the energy keeps coming. Like, it's not running out. It's not going anywhere. I can lie in this tree's arms for as long as I want. And there's no impatience in me either, because I feel completely regulated by this tree. And to be honest, like, I've come into the forest today to get an insight to this rage. And I know that some of this rage is about being in my mother's womb and the fact that while I was in her womb, her blood was poisoning me. Of course, you would develop some kind of body rage towards an entity that is trying to kill you. Like, it makes sense. But just being in the arms of this tree, I just have a sense of like, it's nobody's fault. It's not your mother that you want to be angry with. You just have rage, just let it go. And being held like this is so cathartic. When I came here to the forest in the van, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I'm coming here, I'm coming to hold fire, I'm experiencing trauma, it's all very new to me. I know that I'm really angry at the moment. And like, the power of setting intention, I know I've talked about this before, but before Liam, the cameraman, and I set out, I was like, dude, I'm going to just write my journal for a bit. I'm going to set my intention. And I was writing my journal and I was saying, I'm feeling rage at the moment. I'm feeling just this whole volcano of anger. And I know that it's often triggered when I'm in my mother's presence. I don't know if I'm feeling some of her anger, if it's all mine. I'm also, as I was journaling, I was like, I also feel rage when I hear someone pull up in the driveway. I also feel rage when my dog starts barking. Like, that's all I knew. And I was just writing it in my journal. I was like, I don't understand this, but I'm just with myself. I'm with the fact that I'm traumatized from a birth experience. And when I came into the forest, it was like, because I was aware of how I was feeling, I just got something. I came into the forest and I just felt the trees like, they get it. They understand. And again, I get this message, which is when we have an emotion, there's just this automatic desire to fix it, to make it go away, to figure it out, to turn it into something else. But what we only need in those moments is a feeling of being completely understood. And as I came into the forest, one of the first things I heard was a bird chirping, but in my mind it sounded like a baby crying. And this immediate insight was, I am still that baby crying. I am that traumatized baby crying who wants its mother to just come, and rather than say, you're doing this to annoy me, you're playing up and not picking me up or leaving me or ignoring me, I just want that arms or that cradling to just pick me up and be totally with me. And that's what I've got, like just walking through the forest when I was in the arms of that tree. So I'm ready to have my fire. I'm ready to release. I'm ready to shift my energy. Like, I just feel so euphoric. I've been in the forest for like an hour. And already I'm just feeling understood. I'm feeling like I'm doing the right thing. I'm feeling like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And the most important thing, which was a something that came through on the tarot card that I picked when I was setting my intention, which said, you are of the earth and be of service. And I was like, I'm being of service because I'm making a YouTube video, and all I care about right now is that one person is going to watch this and go, oh my God, I think I'm suffering from trauma too. Thank you. So I'm of the earth. My mother can't give me what I need, but the earth certainly can. And I'm going to hold fire. And I literally feel like I'm holding fire in celebration. Like, that's where I've got to in less than an hour. Let me just skip. Mama, Mother Earth, oh my God, I freaking love you, more now than ever. Forgive me for the days that I am distracted and I forget how much you nourish me by simply giving me your attention. I come in deepest honouring of you. I come in deepest honouring of all your people, the finned, the furred, the feathered, the two-legged, the four-legged, the many-legged, those who fly above you, those who swim within you, those who walk upon you. Mother Earth, thank you for forgiving me every time I forget you. Thank you for your unconditional love. I need it now more than ever. Come be with me as I hold fire. So powerful. The whole ceremony of fire is such a teacher. Right from the start of fire, it's asking you to come into presence to build the fire. And even in the building, you're noticing, how am I feeling while I build this? It felt like the most beautiful ceremonial fire I've ever built. And to be honest, right now, I feel more committed to my spiritual path, to my growth than I've ever felt. More grateful that I've already walked so far along this path so that I have all of these tools to help with my healing at the moment. Liam and I were walking through the forest trying to find a spot for fire. And we came back here, we came back to the tree that had held me in her arms, and it felt gorgeous to come back to her. And actually on the other side of her, there's a whole section of her trunk that's actually fallen out. I didn't realise that she too was wounded, and it really gave me hope, because I thought to myself, despite my wounds, I know that when people come into my presence, they do feel love. I do have that love within me. And that was the message I got from the fire. She burnt so powerfully. I felt her energy, I felt her power, and I kept asking myself, what is this power? It has a nuance to it. And I knew that in the way that it burnt so tall and so strong and so cleanly, that it was showing me something. It was showing me an energy that I too have within myself, but which I've forgotten. And as I was watching the fire, I noticed often when I feel a little stuck like this in ceremonial fire, I can get frustrated, but I didn't have that. I realised I was in total trust, And I thought to myself, have I ever felt this depth of trust before? No. Have I ever come to such a large piece of healing as I'm coming to now? No. And it struck me, my God, I've seen the biggest wound that I've ever seen within me, and I am filled with the biggest trust that I've ever had. Whoa, did that make me feel grateful? Did that make me understand that this is what wounding is? It's a gift to really show us actually how whole we are. And I continued to watch the flame, and I could hear voices in the distance, and I immediately felt triggered. And I knew this is a part of my wound, this absolute terror, visceral, animal of getting into trouble. And again, I felt okay. Like usually I really spiral out of control with that one. And I thought to myself, why is it that I feel okay? I imagined people coming across me holding fire and being furious. And I imagined being totally okay. And I was reminded I'm holding fire tonight because I'm seeing rage within me. I'm seeing rage towards my mother, and I don't know what to do about it. And I knew what this tall burning fire was showing me. It wasn't just about strength. It was about absolute love. As the fire burnt, and I thought to myself why I wouldn't mind if people came across me, it's because I have an absolute love for what I'm doing right now. And no matter what rage entered into that circle of love, it wouldn't last. And I completely understood that as a child, I had no capacity to handle anger, the anger that was directed towards me. But now, as a conscious person holding this ceremonial fire, I understand absolutely that I can deal with anger. If anger is directed towards me, if I feel it in my mother's presence or I feel it arising within me, it's the flame of love, not the flame of defiance, not the flame of, screw you, why are you giving me this anger, or piss off, let me hold my fire. It was just the pure flame of love for what I do and total trust in my practice and the path that I'm walking. And I just watched the fire and I said, teach me the feeling of this flame of love, because I was like, yes, I can see it, I can understand it cerebrally, but let it come into my body. And I just watched the fire and I felt that flame come into me, and I just really understood this sort of pure standing presence of love for what I do. And I felt untouchable. I felt untouchable by anyone who would be angry with me. And it's a feeling I've never had before. I've just been reduced by anger. I have felt so terrified of rage that I have just capitulated at even a whiff of it. But in this moment, I felt that strength of love and understood there would be no more capitulation, that words were nothing when face to face with the feeling of love.